Okay, question 6 is the last one. It's a second compare question. It's the last question in the exam. It's worth 10 marks. You need to make 5 comparisons between the two texts. You need to make quotes from each extract to support points of comparison. And you need to analyse the effect on the reader and what do you need to avoid. So we don't need loads of terminology and we don't need to waffle. So we don't need 6 or 7 lines per point, just a couple of sentences per point. Question is, both of these texts are about cycling. Compare A, how the writer feels about cycling, B, how they make the views clear to the reader. So it's 10 marks, so you should be looking for 13 to 15 minutes. Make 5 points to a quote from both extracts on each. This is the most complex question on the exam just because it's sort of a mixture of a few questions put together. You have already read both texts in the exam, so you'll be familiar with them, so we'll just be scanning at this stage. You can say both texts are the same or different, but be clear which text you're talking about. So simple trick here is just to use the author's names. Don't worry if you feel you might have repeated points you've already written in past questions. That's absolutely fine. Remember, you're looking at the same extract for the whole exam, so it is going to be quite similar. So don't worry if you're repeating yourself, as long as it fits the question. You're going to be asked to compare the things the two writers have said on a topic. This means picking out the similarities and differences in what they say and how they say it. If you want to get top marks, use adverbials, so things like simile, on the other hand, likewise, in contrast. Look for something that is similar but the writer has communicated it in a different way. Terminology is not needed, so you don't need to use it. If you want to use a little bit, it's fine, but certainly don't use it a lot. So what is the examiner looking for? So 1 to 2 marks, basic similarities. 5 to 6 marks refers to both texts and talk about how the writer does something. 7 to 8 marks make detailed comparisons, and 9 to 10 marks sustain. So all the way through make comparisons, showing understanding of how. So how the writer has got their ideas across. So how are they going to do it? So you could say how the writer feels about cycling. You're just going to say what they feel. But then B, how do they make their views clear? So they might use adjectives, they might use lists, professional opinion, structure. So remember, you're comparing, so try and use these words. So if you want to say something is similar, the words on the left. If you want to say things are different, try to use the words on the right. So language of comparison, to look at the following slides, make 4 sentences for each side. So I'll let you do this on your own, but try to do 2 sentences which they say is the same about the pictures, 2 sentences show the difference, and make sure you use the linking words that we've just looked at here. So have a look at these pictures, 2 sentences that show similarity, 2 sentences that show difference, and I'll let you do that yourselves. So you need to track through both the text for key parts about the question, how they feel about cycling, and then highlight the key points. So if we look at this extract, this is the 21st century one, and there's the 19th one. So I want you to draw a table out, and hopefully you've highlighted a few things. You need to list the main points about what each extract thinks about cycling. So in Charles, do the 21st one, what they say, and in the Francis do the 19th one, and the last column, in the how column, list the methods the writer uses to get across this idea. So I say Charles says he likes cycling, he likes the freedom, he thinks he looks good, he likes to be part of a team, he escapes the traffic and the rat race, they're positive role models, and it's personal to everyone. So what I mean by that is he starts off the extract in a structurally way by saying how biking affects him, but at the end he talks about how it affects everyone. Well, Frances, she says she likes cycling too. She's a bit of a role model, so she's someone to look up to. Everyone was sort of against her doing it and she proved them wrong. She does it for her health and it ends in a happy way, that she's really happy with how cycling's gone. And then how do they do it? Well, they do it with structure. Charles does it with humour, they do it with adjectives, and they use statistics. Also, Frances uses a professional opinion. She uses information from a doctor. So how are we going to structure our answer? So you're going to use the sentence starter both writers. Then give your overview main points of the question. So my main point is that both writers feel that cycling is a wonderful and the bike is a great invention. That's the main point. Then I'm going to give a short quote to back up and then explain. So Charles says he was revelling in the freedom, which suggests he's almost celebrating the fact he is on a bike. So I've used my quote and then just said why that quote is being used. So revelling suggests he's absolutely amazed. And then similarly, so I'm saying it's the same. France is complementary adjectives, so I'm saying remarkable, ingenious and inspiring. They're adjectives that say how great cycling is. This is to show her love and respect for cycling. Want to get high marks? We need to use the words that we've talked about already. So here's all of mine put together. So we will look at these in detail, but I'm just saying, if you look at it, so my red is my main point, my blue is my adverbial, yeah. So just to show you, each time I'm making a main point, I might say what's the same or difference, and also I'm using every single time I'm using in contrast, however, likewise, in comparison. I'm always using those words. Here, I just want to show you, even though it looks like I've just written 5 paragraphs, I've probably got about 15 quotes here. So if you use 7 to 8 quotes, you'll be doing really, really well. So use as many quotes as you can. And again, there's my technique. So my second part of the question, how does the writer do it? I've highlighted here. So adjectives, professional opinion, personal experience, verbs, adjectives, structure. So let's look at the PEs in detail. So bifurcated use cycling for exercise. Frances says it gives vigorous exercise, which suggests it's very full on, but her use of therefore tells the reader this is one of her main reasons for cycling. She provides a professional opinion, a doctor's quote. In contrast, Giles seems to be more interested in how he looks and joining the Lycra Brotherhood. While Frances took cycling up in the first place for exercise, Charles has cycled since childhood. However, he seems to enjoy the freedom that cycling brings. Then and now, I weave easily. The verb weave suggests he's slinking through the traffic like a knife through butter. So that's saying how much he enjoys it. I'm saying the technique the writer uses, the verb, the weave, and then I'm saying what connotations weave has. They both use their personal experiences to get their views across. Frances tells the reader that people told her not to cycle as she could wreck her future, which makes the reader sympathise for her and hope she fulfills her dream. Likewise, Charles tells us about his normal day and his joy as escaping the choking roads and attaining silence. The aggressive verb choking suggests pain and struggle, which exaggerates the golden silence he gets from cycling. This makes us think it's almost heaven for him. Both writers use structure to show their feelings to the reader. Charles flashed back to childhood holidays, which shows the experience he has with cycling. He evolves and shown how cycling affected him to the role it has for everyone. My quote to prove that is new generations of Britons. In comparison, Frances shows us her journey chronology ending on a high. So there you go. So there's them all again. My red is my point, my blue is my adverbial. So remember, to sum up the question, it's 10 marks, 5 comparisons between the two texts, quotes from each extract to support points of comparison, analyse the effect on the reader, and just avoid terminology and waffling. And that is it for the video on the cycling paper 2 exam question. Hopefully it's been of some help. Hopefully you will, fingers crossed, you will do well on the exam.